Hey everybody, Casual Sports Guy here with episode 2 of my What If series. So this one unfortunately is a very, very sad overall series of events throughout very many different years, of course. But it's also one that I personally wish we weren't discussing and that it did not happen, because it would definitely benefited the universities of all of them involved. And in the world of sports in general, we do unfortunately have fatalities, very unexpected most of the time. And that, of course, is no different for college athletes. And while we've had very many different accidents and deaths and unfortunate, you know, series of events, the most, probably one of the more famous ones that most people remember, because as of right now, I believe it's still the deadliest plane crash for one university, which is the Marshall plane crash, which happened on November 14th of 1970. So clearly I was not born, but I have watched the movie, and I've actually planned to visit in the near future the memorial, and will of course eventually stream live when that does happen. But anyway, it's easy to sit here and look back and realize that it was a very, very, very tragic event, and it could have easily been handled differently. There's factors obviously involved that nobody on that plane knew at the time would happen. But the biggest thing about this is, if it did not happen, then one, Marshall would not have stopped their football program for a short period of time. The players that were on there, potentially, we can assume most would be married, possibly have kids. Some might have even gone on and had amazing NFL careers, or college, or Canadian football, whatever it was that they could do. But that's the easy hindsight, obviously. But the good news is that Marshall did at least bring football back. And of course, one of the biggest alumni there that we all know is Randy Moss, who obviously lit it up and, went on to have a Hall of Fame career, and even made Super Bowl, and was, regarded, he might have been, a diva by, standards, but the guy could ball. And he put Marshall in the spotlight for a short period of time. And I believe Leftwich also was on Marshall. And, so they had some success during his time. So, I mean, in the midst of tragedy, sometimes, and I really hate saying this, but sometimes in the midst of tragedy, you can truly appreciate people for what they brought to you, what they could have been, but their memory lives with the family, with the players, with the coaches, with the community as a whole. Even their biggest rival, West Virginia, honored them. And that shows you the brotherhood that college football is all about. Like, nothing can overcome that. No matter, who hates who. At the end of the day, you never want to see a fellow human competitor, succumb to anything. You want them to always be at their best, and you want them at their best because, we all strive to encourage one another, and that's what it's about. And, with that plane crash, a lot of legacies were broken. Like, we don't know what they would have been, and that's the worst part about it. I mean, for me, I only know what I've seen, because obviously I wasn't around, but I know that there was a lot of good characteristics about all of them. They had great leaders, they had great coaching, they had a wonderful supporting cast with the student body and the university, and as a whole. And that, still to this day, they honor the fallen, the lost, and in hopes that nothing will ever replace them, and it won't. And they don't have the best football team, but you know what? They don't care. They go out, they play with heart, they go play with character. They go out and give it 100% every single Saturday, Sunday, whatever day they're asked to play, they do it. And they do it for those gentlemen, ladies, and, family of the victims. And I know, and like I said, I really don't like even talking or mentioning death in general because no one really wants to think about it. But it truly does make you wonder, in this case, what if that event never happened? You got to think that was, 30 plus players that would have had, most likely at least half would have had a son, that could be playing now or even during like the 90s, and that would be a bloodline, a family member that gets to continue on their legacy. And that doesn't happen now. It's a lot of, future husbands that don't get to be blessed with a wonderful spouse, and then of course an extended family. So, the point of all this, obviously, is to just be truly grateful for the time we do have, because you never know when it will no longer be that moment. We only have today, we only have this moment. And in those last moments, they were surrounded by each other, but they unfortunately didn't get a chance to say goodbye to their family. So what if the plane crash had never happened? Then Marshall, I truly feel, would have blossomed even more than what it already has now, because they had a great group of people, and they inspired others. And even to this day, the We Are Marshall, now means something so much more than what it did before. And I know this isn't, the best probably approach to this video, but truthfully, not a whole lot needs to be said, because the fact of the matter is, what if all of this could have been avoided? Then we would all be enjoying the prosperity of all these young men and being the best role model that they could be. So I appreciate all of you, and I mean that from my bottom of my heart, the whole heart, everything. I value every little view, every little comment, subscription, all that stuff. Because, I don't do it for the fame. I do it to inform you, to try to bring knowledge into your life and not let you forget things or make you think. And that's what I hope this particular part of the video has done. My next episode will be next week. I'm still working on a topic, but just know that this is only the beginning of our journey through history in the flip side of what if. See ya.